once in a while, we like to bring you something a little bit different on This Day Live, and today is no exception to that rule. Fleur Estelle was just 21 when she founded her own belly dancing school after giving unofficial lessons to her friends while she was still at university. Well, Fleur is now 29 and runs the largest belly dancing school in London, and has even performed alongside the likes of the R&B and hip-hop recording star Akon and the award-winning British chef Gordon Ramsay. Well, before we chat to Fleur, let's see her in action. Fleur, welcome. It looks beautifully choreographed, not just the stomach movements, but also the arm movements as well.
Oh, yeah, it's very artistic. Yeah.
I mean, how long would it take anybody to sort of reach that standard? Because it's not easy, is it?
I'd like to say it is, but no, it's not easy at all. But, I mean, some elements of belly dancing are easy to capture. Everyone's different, so it's quite hard to pinpoint an exact duration of how long it takes to get to a certain level. But I would say that all you need is the basics to start performing, and then it's a journey that unfolds.
So what are the basics?
Hip circles, shimmies, hip lifts, hip drops, lots of simple elements like core movements that you can then layer on later on to make more complex techniques.
So how complex it is really depends on you, that the more you get into it, I suppose, the more you discover your own rhythm.
Exactly. The more you get into it, the more you'll be drawn to specific different types of techniques. Some people love shimmies. They'll just do lots of 1,001 different types of shimmies. And some people will be more attracted to maybe the slow lyrical movements. And most people like all of them. Obviously, we try to have as much variety in the school. But I think belly dancing is definitely a journey. And although you learn from a technical standpoint, where it takes you, you know, you'll keep on folding. We're always training. I'm always learning more. Everybody's always learning more.
It's an ongoing thing.
Exactly.
But I mean, how did you get into it? Because it's quite unusual, actually, getting into it and then teaching belly dancing to your friends.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's, do you know what? I fell in love with it. It chose me, as people say. I've always loved dance, so I did ballet as a child and other dance styles. And then this might come as a surprise, but I was, because of my background, I loved Bollywood movies, even though I don't have that background at all, nobody in my family, but I don't know, something...
So just the dance and the whole fusion of music and...
The creativity, the colours, the joy. Dancing around trees, you know, having lots of different coloured veils, and I think that's what first drew me into creativity of dance, and then the freedom, and then obviously afterwards a lot of the belly dance movements in Bollywood. I thought, oh, I like that, and then that led me to belly dancing.
Yeah, because I mean, you take this very seriously. You're not just running a business with this, but you've actually gone abroad to actually train under the masters, I suppose, of belly dancing, but renowned belly dancers, and learning from them and bringing back those lessons. So this is not a game. This is very serious.
Yeah, it's very serious as an art form, in the sense of it's got techniques to master, and it's like any other art form. It's yeah, in that sense it's very serious, and there's a structure, and obviously it's a form of exercise, so knowing about your body and different muscle groups that you're isolating, just like exercise. But on the other side, there's also a very playful side, and it's got that contrast. It's serious and it's an art form, but it's also very, you can lose yourself in it, and there's that freedom and creativity that I think most dance styles have, but it's really, yeah, very...
But it's interesting, because when we think about belly dancing, we see it as a purely Middle Eastern phenomenon. But it's not just Middle Eastern. There's also African forms of belly dancing, Togolese. It just extends itself.
I think belly dancing has its roots in many ancient cultures, and I think it has a long history in the Middle East, which is why I think it's still very prominent in the Middle East, which is why I think we see it as a Middle Eastern dance. And the art form has developed so much in different cultures and different countries. It's quite hard to pinpoint it to one specific country. I mean, if we go back, we know it's one of the oldest forms of dance, and we know it's been practiced for thousands of years, or aspects of belly dancing as we know it today. And evidence such as tomb paintings in ancient Egypt, or papyrus. There's been evidence in ancient Greece. We're thinking thousands and thousands of years ago, but I think so many different countries and cultures have adopted belly dancing, and it's changed throughout time.
But just looking at some of the earlier films where you were teaching belly dancing, the impression is that you have to be of a certain shape. You've got to be very slim to get the best out of it. But
oh, really?
That film, well, that's the perception, because if you look at films of belly dancers, they tend to be very slim ladies. But in that picture that we saw a little bit earlier, before we started our chat, in fact, there were women of all shapes and sizes who were really getting into this.
Yes, I think we know in belly dance world it's for all shapes and sizes, and all ages, all backgrounds, and it's a very inclusive dance. There's something for everyone. So I know that there is a concept, we think it's for a specific shape or size, and I think that's determined by which industry has portrayed belly dancing and in which way. So, for example, if you've seen it in the movies, you'll have that perception. I mean, I hear a lot the opposite. I hear people say, "Where's your belly?" So
they expect them to be very sort of generously proportioned.
Yeah, so I think it just depends on people in different regions, different places. I've met people who expect them to be thin, and I've met people who think I'm too thin to be belly dancing. So.
But do you find it annoying, though, that there's also this slightly seedy association with belly dancing as well? Because it is an art form. We saw that on the film. It's beautiful, the choreography, the way that the women actually move. It's very sensuous without being sleazy, but then some places abuse that concept.
Yeah.
They've made it down market. Is that something that offends you professionally?
I think it used to. I think in the very beginning, when I started out, because belly dancing wasn't so mainstream, especially in London, I think definitely that perception did slightly make me feel uncomfortable. Obviously, because we go from it from an artistic standpoint. But I think there are all aspects to belly dancing, and belly dancing's history has had all aspects. It's had fertility, it was used for fertility, it was used in very elegant ways, but it also has had its seedy history, and I think it's, it used to bother me, but now it is what it is, and there's different types of belly dancing out there, and there's certainly demand for it, so wherever there's demand for something, it will grow. So I think, people will choose what they want, and people will go towards what feels right for them. Like, whether there's right or wrong,
and very briefly, I can understand why a lot of women do it for exercise and pleasure, but do you feel that it also impacts on them in other ways, perhaps empowering them, making them feel more attractive if they've had body image issues?
Yeah, that's the beauty of belly dancing, is that you feel beautiful. Belly dancing is it's a celebratory dance. It's about accepting who you are, celebrating who you are, rather than trying to change who you are. So I think in that aspect, it's a feel-good dance. People do come to classes for confidence. I think everyone gets attracted to belly dancing for a different reason. But ultimately, yes, the confidence grows with time.
And that's fantastic. And it's also very colourful, because you've brought part of your costume there, which is beautiful. You can just see it there in the camera.
Sorry, pink. I love pink.
Excellent, excellent. But Fleur, thank you so much for coming in. Good luck with the school.
Thank you for having me.
And it's been a very interesting discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.